think this alleviates the concerns about circular financing.
No, this fund, which is, by the way, still a memorandum of understanding, we do not actually have contracts, it's just vendor financing. Nvidia is raising the funding, they're finding the customers, they're the vendor, they're the customer in some cases with CoreWeave, they're a large customer with Lambda. They basically pay people to rent back the GPUs that they sell them. They help raise the debt. They find the sites. It's vendor financing, but they've been smarter than the Ciscos and the Lucents in the past by not actually becoming a bank.
Well, and I think that's an important part in that the financiers that they're working with are the ones who are going to determine what the interest rate is that they lend on, as opposed to Nvidia removing itself from that process, which creates more of a traditional kind of lender-borrower dynamic, and such that, we will lend to you, but here's the price by which it will cost for you to actually borrow this money.
But the trick that Nvidia does is they lend their credit to companies by not actually lending their credit. With Lambda and CoreWeave, I think they pay them $1.3 billion or more in these 4-year-long contracts. These contracts are then taken to financiers, and they say, hey, look, we have a customer. Even though that customer is also the vendor, Nvidia also propped up CoreWeave's IPO. They invested over $2 billion in them, and I think in Iron as well, post-IPO. They are propping up these companies, they are helping them get funding, and they're backstopping deals as a means of, funneling money to themselves. And they've found a way around actually doing the financing themselves while basically getting all the benefits.
Whatever the machinations of how they're getting the capital, lending it, deploying it, what you hear is, from somebody in CoreWeave's position, from any of the hyperscalers, from anybody along the food chain, is we are responding to demand signals that cannot be denied. There is more demand than supply. There is a scarcity trade we need to build in order to find out, where the clearing level is for supply and demand. So I guess NVIDIA's point is you just have to get it out there, and the demand will take care of those issues.
But the thing is, the demand is mostly OpenAI and Anthropic. So Bloomberg actually reported a few days ago that 70% of Microsoft's AI revenue in fiscal year 26 was OpenAI, which also suggests that Microsoft 365 Copilot and Compute is a single-digit billion business. All of the demand from CoreWeave is OpenAI, Anthropic, Microsoft for OpenAI, and of course Google for OpenAI, and then OpenAI for itself. Mm-hmm. These companies are basically just compute fronts for two unsustainable, unprofitable AI labs that are basically the only growth engine for hyperscalers at this point. Everybody's propping up what is really the end of the era of hypergrowth.
So how can you say they're unsustainable?
Well, I mean, they burn tens of billions of dollars a year and have no proof that they will ever find profitability. There is this mythology that inference is profitable. There is no actual proof of this. This is something Dario Amodei said once as a stylized fact in an interview with Dwarkesh Patel. Nobody has actually proven this.
Google Gemini. So Sundar Pichai of Google, Alphabet yesterday said 1 billion users. I don't know how many of those are layered on top of Gmail. Gmail automatically sort of integrates Gemini. It'll summarize your emails. Copilot, it's sort of automatically, unless you opt out, integrated into Outlook. Do we have any idea, Ed, how much organic use there is of AI, meaning people who just choose to use AI and pay for it independent of other products like an Outlook, Gmail, et cetera? Do we have any idea what that demand case is?
Well, yes, we do. So the thing I mentioned with Bloomberg, 70% of Microsoft's fiscal year 2026 revenue for AI was from OpenAI.
Yes.
So about $34 billion total.
That's Copilot, Outlook.
So just to be clear, though, $10.3 billion of that was everything that wasn't OpenAI, which means that Microsoft 365 Copilot is making single-digit billions of dollars of revenue. That's pathetic. $261 billion of CapEx Microsoft has spent since the beginning of 2022 for a teeny tiny business. And I know billions sound like a lot of money, but not when you're building data centers.
It doesn't in this case, you're right. Because and by the way, when we talk about energy demand, I'm actually starting to see the word quadrillion. I'm not joking, thrown around, quintillion, quadrillion, over trillion. So I would imagine you got two options: grow the user base massively, or raise prices massively, or some combination of the two to make back up that money. What's the answer?
So the problem is Sam Altman himself said when they moved all of their enterprise customers on OpenAI and Anthropic over to per million token basis, paying for the actual cost of AI. And within 1 month or two, I think Uber blew through their entire annual token budget in a single quarter. You had everybody screaming like they were being pecked to death by birds about it. And Sam Altman said, yeah, this is a huge problem. This is the man who's meant to be the head of the biggest startup of all time. And his answer was, yeah, people don't like that. And the thing is, people really don't. And we have this misalignment with the price of AI, the cost of running AI, and, well, actual consumer demand. And the problem is that large language models are not consistent products. They don't have consistent return on investment, and they don't have consistent costs, which makes them a nightmare to scale for businesses. And so there's really no opportunity to raise prices at this point because we've already seen what happens. Customers protest.
How does the debate over open source versus closed factor into that business model, and especially the moats that seem to be a little bit dubious at this point?
Well, here's the funny thing. Dario Amodei position of Anthropic, he positions open source as anti-American, that if we let the Chinese models take over, well, that's anti-American. I can think of nothing more American than having competition in the large language model arena. They're terrified because people have found a cheaper, though not confirmed as profitable, way of doing much the same thing, of beating them on benchmarks or matching them on benchmarks. So they're scared of China because they know that China is operating with less GPUs, though they do have access to Blackwell, and operating with less money, and yet doing about the same thing. And they'll say it's distillation, they'll say all of these things, but what they're actually afraid of isn't China, it's competition.
If the IPOs of OpenAI and Anthropic get done as expected, let's say whether it's the next year or so, that would seem to capitalize them to a point where they can run this experiment for quite a long time. So what are the, I don't know, I guess investment implications of all this?
So, UBS, an analyst at UBS found about a month ago that they estimate that 48% of Google Cloud's entire revenue next year will come from Anthropic and OpenAI. That is over $124 billion, and that's on top of tens of billions of dollars with CoreWeave, Iron, Microsoft, and all sorts of others. The point I'm making is, if they go public, and it isn't if at this point, especially for OpenAI, they will have to raise $100 billion, $200 billion each every year in perpetuity. The Wall Street Journal's Anissa Gardezi reported the other day that OpenAI plans to spend $750 billion on compute by the end of 2030. That's less than 3.5 years away. I just don't see how it's possible. That's more than the hyperscalers are raising to build the data centers.
As investors seem to find some solace in a new financing endeavor combining 6 of Wall Street's largest financial firms, Nvidia's shares increased early on Wednesday. In early trading, shares increased by nearly 3% to almost $223. Apollo Global Management, BlackRock, Blackstone, Brookfield Asset Management, Goldman Sachs, and KKR have signed memorandums of understanding, MOUs, on Monday to assist in raising over $500 billion in third-party funding for AI infrastructure projects. Through this arrangement, NVIDIA's clients may access a far larger pool of funds without the chipmaker having to finance the build-out in its entirety. Each proposal will be evaluated independently by the participating financial firms, who will then determine how much money to invest. This distinction is important because investors are starting to wonder if NVIDIA's financing arrangements could lead to a type of circular financing, where the business helps customers get funding to purchase NVIDIA's own processors, thereby driving demand that might otherwise be lower. The new arrangement seems to reduce NVIDIA's direct financial risk more than some investors had first thought. According to analysts, NVIDIA may support the residual value of assets in specific circumstances rather than giving the financing platform cash. According to Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA, the company may offer a residual value support mechanism for up to 25% of an opportunity, depending on the particular project. This might reduce the amount of risk that NVIDIA bears on its own financial sheet, while enabling outside investors to fund a far greater share of the development of AI infrastructure. However, the finance structure comes at a delicate moment for the AI sector. In order to finance data centers, processing capacity, and AI development, hyperscalers like Alphabet, Amazon, Meta, and Microsoft have been taking on significant debt. Credit markets are becoming more concerned about whether the anticipated returns from AI infrastructure will warrant the expenditure due to the rising capital requirements. Because NVIDIA has been giving financial help to businesses that buy its hardware, it has come under more scrutiny. According to earlier reports, the business was considering guarantees of up to $250 billion to support OpenAI's debt financing and lease for a sizable data center project in Ohio. These agreements have sparked worries that funding would help maintain demand for Nvidia's processors before AI infrastructure produces enough revenue to cover the expenditure. By shifting a large portion of the funding burden to independent financial institutions, the new Wall Street alliance aims to allay some of that worry. The finance arrangements do not alter analysts' optimistic assessment of Nvidia's long-term growth potential, they said, maintaining their $280 fair value estimate. According to the research group, Nvidia is increasing access to its chips and bringing more resources into infrastructure development by leveraging its central position in the AI ecosystem. For large-scale AI systems, Nvidia continues to be the leading provider of GPUs, networking hardware, and software. As demand grows beyond the biggest cloud providers, the company has also made a greater effort to assist the larger ecosystem surrounding its technology. The company's medium and long-term growth prospects are still discounted, according to analysts who continue to believe that Nvidia's shares are cheap. Nvidia's 5-hour chart is showing a crucial test close to $224. Recent candles support a bullish engulfing pattern, but as the price remains just below significant resistance, there is a double top danger. Traders are anticipating a breakout over $226 or a reversal down to $280 due to the high volatility and split momentum indicators. Significant movements in either direction might occur in the next hours. Where bears and bulls collide, Nvidia's 5-hour setup is perilously close to a double top at $225-$226, but bullish momentum is still strong with the price printing at $223.17. What matters most is this: upward pressure. The price is well above the Ichimoku cloud, $207.37, $213.97, and supertrend support, $208.17, indicating a trend that hasn't let up yet. Overbought risk. The current price is 4.94% above the 20-period moving average. Historically, this has resulted in at least a slight decline. Liquidity fade. Volume decreases when the price rises above $220, increasing the likelihood of both abrupt reversals and strong breakouts. Nvidia is arguably the company with the biggest stake in the AI boom. The core of Nvidia's investment thesis is its powerful computing chips, which are in high demand from next-generation businesses like Elon Musk's SpaceX. However, investors should also take into account Nvidia's impressive investment portfolio. Nvidia's early support of firms like OpenAI and Anthropic has the potential to generate additional value for its stockholders when these companies surely go public at stratospheric values within the next year. According to recent study by Bank of America analyst Vivek Arya, Nvidia has pledged to actively invest $70 billion in equity in ecosystem partners. Up to $10 billion has been invested in Anthropic, $30 billion in OpenAI, and $5 billion in Safe Superintelligence. Given its potential to produce up to $470 billion in free cash flow over the next 2 years, 2026 to 2027, or around 15% of free cash flow, we see Nvidia's $70 billion investments as generally doable, Arya stated. To put it another way, we don't see any problems with Nvidia giving shareholders back 50% of free cash flow as it promised in May 2026. Prior to its August 26 results release, Nvidia's stock has been steadily rising, up 4% over the last month. During the same period, the S&P 500 has increased by 2.4%. According to research, Nvidia shares are only roughly 5% behind the $236.54-52-week high with that rise in the mix. The market is set up for Nvidia to publish something fantastic and for CEO Jensen Huang to sound really optimistic during the earnings call, if there is any need to approach cautiously ahead of the company's earnings. Additionally, they are aware that Nvidia's investment portfolio has no downside risk, because the majority of privately held AI companies are receiving increasing values. Arya clarified that, because of high expectations following the most recent April 4th and June 10th earnings, the stock has been under pressure. Nonetheless, we continue to believe that Nvidia's next-generation Vera Rubin product cycle will help solidify the company's roughly 70% market dominance. Even if Nvidia was one of the best stock choices in market history, its winning run may not go forever. It frequently occurs that a stock's most exciting increases have already passed by the time the broader market notices a significant increase. However, this does not exclude well-known and popular stocks from generating wealth for shareholders. What is going on with Nvidia then? For the majority of the year, it has been tracking the S&P 500's overall trajectory. As of this writing, it is up 20% as opposed to 14% for the larger index. Although it's a respectable improvement, it falls short of the enormous increases it has previously produced. In the upcoming weeks and months, let's explore what might be in store for the chip stock. Nvidia was a profitable company and a great investment long before the artificial intelligence, AI, megatrend took off. Nvidia was a leader in video game hardware in 2021, and its stock more than doubled at a time when most non-techies still considered AI to be a futuristic idea. With the release of ChatGPT at the end of 2022, Nvidia's graphics processing units, GPUs, which were initially intended to enhance the rendering of video game graphics, swiftly emerged as the industry standard for supplying the parallel processing capacity needed for generative AI. Nvidia's stock has surged since then. Furthermore, the performance of Nvidia stock through the end of July and the rest of the year follows a rather distinct trend. It will probably finish 2026 higher than it is currently trading, but not by much, if the overall trend of the last 5 years is followed. For the last 4 years, this has been the pattern, with the first 7 months seeing the majority of the stock's price movement. The majority of Nvidia's gains in 2021 occurred around the conclusion of the year. With a wide range of complex language models and agentic AI services, AI has evolved significantly over the last 4 years, but Nvidia remains the key. Due to its tight integration into hyperscaler clients' systems and provision of chips and entire infrastructure ecosystems, it poses significant barriers to entry for potential rivals. Management is aiming for a 95% year-over-year increase in sales for its fiscal 2027 second quarter, which concluded on July 26th. But even as the firm picks up speed, the stock's gains have slowed. Wall Street is being extremely cautious about Nvidia's stock, which is already the most valuable corporation in the world by market capitalization. The market's response might be subdued even if it exceeds fiscal Q2 projections, which is probably the case.